Hello there, thrill seekers. Today's video, nerd alert warning. I have brought a stack of books out with me, plus this book, so that's even more. So it's going to be a nerdy one. The other day on this video channel, I brought up Hyakujo's Fox, and it is a koan that I've been talking about a lot. There is a video on this video channel called The Famous Fox Koan. If you want, I think that's probably going to be your shortest introduction to it. And I did a 3-part series on my podcast in which I talked about Hyakujo's Fox. It's in my book. Which books is it in? It's definitely in It Came From Beyond Zen, and I think it's also in Sit Down and Shut Up, where I talked about Hyakujo's Fox. I probably even talked about it in Hardcore Zen. So it's an interesting koan, and I'm not going to read the whole koan for you because that'll just make this thing incredibly long. What the hell? I'll read the Fox koan really quickly. So here it is. Whenever Hyakujo Osho preached a sermon, an old stranger was there, always following the Zen monks and listening to the preaching. When the Zen monks withdrew, so did the old man. It happened one day that he did not withdraw. The master at last asked, "Who is this standing in front of me?" The old man replied, "Well, I am not a human being." In the past days of Kasho Buddha, in parentheses, a Buddha who lived about 2 million years before Shakyamuni was born, and then we're back to the story, I was the head of the monastery on this mountain. One of my students asked me, "I know well that all beings are subject to the doctrine of cause and effect. I also know that a Zen master is free from every doctrine. Both of them are doctrines of Buddhism. Now I want to ask you if a Zen master is subject to the doctrine of cause and effect or not." I replied, this is still the old man talking, "Not subject to the doctrine of cause and effect. Since then I have lived 500 years as a wild fox. Now, master, will you please put another word in place of mine and deliver me from the bondage of being a wild fox?" And finally he asked, "Is a Zen master subject to the doctrine of cause and effect or not?" The master said, "The doctrine working of cause and effect is clear as noonday." The old man at these words was completely enlightened. He made a bow and said, "I was already free from the bondage of being a wild fox body and have been living at the back of this mountain. I am sorry to trouble you, but would you please perform my funeral according to the regular ceremony of a dead monk?" The master instructed the head monk to tell everyone that after the meal a funeral rite for a monk would be performed. The monks said to each other, "We are all well, no one is in the infirmary, what is going on?" Oops, lost my bookmark. After the meal, their master simply took them to a cave behind the mountain, took out a dead wild fox with his stick, and then performed the ceremony of cremation. When evening came, the master entered the sermon hall and explained to the monks what had happened. Obaku, who is also known as Huangpo, immediately asked, "The ancient happened to answer wrongly in one word and was changed into the body of a wild fox for 500 lives. If time after time he had given no wrong answers, what would he have been?" The master, this is Hyakujo, a.k.a. Baijan, Hyakujo said, "Come forward and I will practice what is not wrong." Obaku thereupon came forward and gave his palm to the master's palm. The master clapped his own hands and laughed. He said, "I thought Bodhidharma's beard is red, but you said the man with the red beard is Bodhidharma." The end. So, the reason I bring this up is I brought it up in a previous video and I said that, well, let's read the line again. "I thought Bodhidharma's beard is red, but you said the man with the red beard is Bodhidharma." I said that this was like saying 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And some people in the comments were saying, "No, I don't think that's what it means. I think it means," I think one of them said, "there's an explanation of something and then the real thing." So the explanation is the first thing, the Bodhidharma's beard is red, and the real thing itself is the red beard, the man with the red beard is Bodhidharma. This got me thinking a lot. Like I'm going, have I had that wrong all these years? And what's interesting is, and I won't swear on a stack of Shobogenzos about this, but I can't remember ever seeing a commentary, and I've seen a bunch of commentaries, that really explained what that phrase is supposed to mean. So I got this Shobogenzo in Japanese, which was given to me by Geshin Greenwood, when she returned from Japan one time. So thank you, Geshin, for giving me this. And and I also have my teacher's version, but it's in storage, so I looked at this version, but they're both the same. So I had a look at what it actually says in the Chinese characters. And for those of you who want to see what it says, my middle finger is pointing to it. That's what it says. Now, I'll put it on the screen in a version in contemporary Japanese that I found online. And let's see what it actually says. Masa ni omoeri koushu shaku to. Sara ni shakushu ko ari. That's contemporary Japanese, and I compared it to the Chinese, and I would say that this is pretty reliable, and it's especially the key point, the man with the red beard and the red-bearded man, barbarian, Bodhidharma, is the same in Chinese and Japanese. It's just that the little supporting words that surround it get changed when you translate. But there you go. That's what it says. And I would interpret this as saying it is said, or it is an established saying, something along those lines. Barbarian beard red. Okay? And then sarani would be in addition, or beyond that, or in addition, I guess. Red beard barbarian is. So that's what we're working with, folks. And so there's a lot of different translations of this line, and it's fascinating. Now, my teacher and his student Mike Cross, in their version of Shobo Genzo, translated the line as, "You have just expressed that a foreigner's beard is red, but it is also a fact that a red beard is a foreigner." Now, why do they say foreigner, and why did I say barbarian? And Joshu Sasaki's version that I read at the beginning says Bodhidharma. Well, I will answer that now. Ko, which is the word they're translating as either Bodhidharma or barbarian or foreigner, originally indicated a person from a region to the northwest of China, broadly corresponding to modern-day Kazakhstan and Russia, and it is largely understood that when the foreigner appears in a Buddhist koan, that means Bodhidharma, because Bodhidharma to the Chinese was a foreigner. He was an Indian, perhaps Persian, perhaps even Afghani. Nobody really knows for sure, who came and brought Zen Buddhism into China. So he was a foreigner, and he was reputed to have a red beard. Here is what two Zen classics by Katsuki Sekida has to say about it. Red-bearded barbarian. The Chinese of those days thought of China as the cultural center of the world. Indians and Persians were considered barbarians, but Shakyamuni and Bodhidharma, whom the Chinese revered, were both Indians. Barbarian, therefore, acquired a new meaning. This text might be paraphrased like this: I thought Bodhidharma was red-bearded, but now I see before me a red-bearded Bodhidharma himself. The original text consists of 10 syllables and was uttered in one breath to powerful effect. Isn't that interesting? So this is where some confusion starts to get in, or some differences. They translate it pretty much as what I just said. I was thinking that the barbarian had a red beard, but now I see before me the red-bearded barbarian himself. And it turns out a lot of people interpret this that way, that Hyakujo is saying that Obaku, his student, is the red-bearded barbarian himself. But if you look at the actual text itself, it just says there is also, it reverses the order of the characters. So the first version is, the established saying is, barbarian, beard, red. So I think most translations would say a barbarian has a red beard. And then it says, furthermore, or but also, or in addition, red beard foreigner. So the point seems to me to be the changing of the order of characters. So I don't I can't read it the way that they want me to read it, which is as saying that Hyakujo is saying Obaku is the red-bearded foreigner, which would lend itself to the interpretation that we get from a lot of other people. I was thinking that the barbarian had a red beard, but now I see before me the red-bearded barbarian himself. Or if you're reading Kazuaki Tanahashi's translations, his says, I thought only barbarians had red or extraordinary beards, but you too are a red-bearded barbarian. So he's also making it like that. He's also making it a reference to Obaku. Here he uses it again. He says, I thought it was only barbarians who had red beards, but you too have a red beard. But he doesn't say you too at all in the sentence, as I read the sentence. And I would have to say that my teacher's version and Joshu Sasaki's version is correct. Here's another version that appears in this book, which is just about the Fox Koan, a whole book about the Fox Koan. I thought it was only the barbarian who had a red beard, but here is another red-bearded barbarian. Again, it sounds like he's referring to Obaku. Now, maybe there's a tradition of people understanding it this way, and I'm amenable to that there's a tradition of that, but that's not what it says. So, I'm sticking to my guns here for the time being and saying that it is like saying 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I keep stopping and starting the video because the traffic is, I don't know what the heck is going out there on Los Feliz Boulevard right now, but people are beeping and it's going crazy and the dog's barking and yeah. Anyway, so I'm sticking to that 6 of one, half a dozen the other reading of the line, at least for now, and I'll let you know if I change my mind. But the reason I'm sticking to it is because of the way I understand Dogen, which it goes back to the 4 philosophies thing that I talked about in other videos, and a video maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember. I did a video about Nishijima Roshi's idea of the 4 philosophies. So subjective, objective, action, and reality as the 4 views. And in this case, it's not clear to me which is which view, but the point is, when you look at it from the idealistic point of view, one explanation of things is correct, and this is like reality itself. If you look at it from an idealistic point of view, you can make a perfectly good explanation for things that makes sense and is correct. And then if you look at it from the materialistic point of view, you can make another explanation of things that is also correct, but contradicts the first explanation. And the lesson that Dogen seems to be trying to teach over and over in Shobo Genzo is that you have to transcend both of those views and get into the viewpoint of actual action in the present moment, which leads you to be able to see things realistically, which is the 4th viewpoint. So I think he's just contrasting 2 viewpoints and saying kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the others, because 6 of one is one way of saying the thing, and half a dozen is another way of saying the thing, and they both mean the same thing. So that's my little nerd school of Buddhism for you today. Maybe that wasn't as exciting as the one about phony Zen masters yesterday. I'm sorry, but I'll try to come up with some exciting ones later on, and we'll see what happens. But I just happened to be, I spent a long time researching this and going into it and trying to figure it out, and I still haven't reached a final conclusion, so I might change my mind about this, but that's what I'm sticking to. So, if you want to donate to me being able to nerd out more, you can go to the URL you are seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main means of making a living, and I just bought some dog food with your contributions yesterday, so Ziggy has no reason to complain and go hungry. I really appreciate your support, and so does Ziggy. But if you don't want to support this channel, you don't have to, because I offer it for free. So, we will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. Hey, Ziggy. What are you barking at? What are you barking at, huh? Is it all that weird traffic noise? Or you think somebody inside is going to give you a treat? Well, he would give you a treat if you didn't keep running away. Do you think everybody knows that you have an Instagram account, Ziggy Zendog? They can go to Ziggy Zendog on Instagram and see lots of pictures of you. Do you think people know that? Maybe we should tell him. Hey, Ziggy. All right. He's really fixated on somebody and they're giving him a treat, so let's just let him be.